Welcome to Life Stories, where $1 million couldn't buy what she wanted most. She was a billionaire who had everything except someone who truly saw her. He was a man with nothing, except a secret that could shatter everything she thought she knew about power, love, and redemption. What happens when the one person you can't control is the only one who can undo you? Stay with us, because this story will take you from boardrooms to back alleys, from silence to heartbreak, and into the arms of a man who once vanished to save his soul. Let's begin. Madison Cole hadn't cried in 17 years. Not when her mother left, not when her first company collapsed, not even when she buried her fiancé after the accident in Berlin. But today, under the suffocating glare of 100 boardroom lights and the weight of a billion-dollar merger on her shoulders, her voice trembled. "I need a break," she said, her eyes hidden behind designer sunglasses. Her assistant, Theo, glanced at her with concern. "Ma'am, the investors flew in from Seoul for this." Madison didn't flinch. "If I stay in this room one more second, I swear I'll implode." She turned, heels clicking like gunfire, and made for the elevator. By the time she was in the back seat of her mad black Maybach, her hands were shaking. She stared at them like they belonged to someone else. "Take me somewhere quiet," she ordered. "No cameras. No phones. No suits. Somewhere no one knows who I am." Theo hesitated. "There's a place in the old district. Not upscale. No paparazzi. They say the massage therapist there is different." "Different how?" "He doesn't talk much. Doesn't advertise. And he turns down tips." Madison arched a brow. "Sounds like a monk. More like a ghost." 20 minutes later, they stopped in front of a converted townhouse with peeling paint and a hand-carved sign at Red Haven Wellness Spa. No glass walls. No neon signs. Just ivy crawling over cracked stone and a door that looked like it belonged in another century. Inside, there was no receptionist in sight. No piped-in whale sounds or corporate branding. Just silence and the subtle scent of eucalyptus and something earthier like rain-soaked wood. Finally, a woman emerged from a side door. "Welcome," she said gently. "You're early." Madison didn't explain herself. "I want a full session. Your best therapist." That would be Noah. "He's available." The name meant nothing to her. That was rare. She was led to a small room, bare walls, one low table, and linen curtains billowing in the open window. She stripped down to her underwear and lay face down, her heart still racing from whatever it was she was trying to escape. Then the door opened. The air shifted. "Good afternoon," a calm male voice said. "I'm Noah. Shall we begin?" She turned her head slightly to look at him. He wasn't what she expected. He didn't look soft or spiritual. He looked grounded. Real. Late 20s, maybe 30. Strong hands. Quiet eyes. And not even a flicker of recognition in his face. "Don't try to impress me," she muttered. "Just fix me." Noah didn't respond. He washed his hands at the corner basin and began the session. Madison expected clinical. She got something else entirely. His touch was technical, yes, but also deliberate. Like he was listening to her body, not commanding it. When he reached the base of her spine, her breath caught. When his thumbs pressed gently into the back of her neck, a sound escaped her throat she didn't recognize. She hated how it made her feel seen. "How long have you been doing this?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "Long enough to know you don't sleep much," he said. She blinked. "Excuse me? Your shoulders are locked? Your lower back's misaligned? That happens when you stay up too long working or thinking too hard. You're very sure of yourself." "I just read muscles," he said. They don't lie. She was quiet after that. By the time the session ended, she felt raw, exposed. She dressed in silence and walked out into the hallway where the receptionist sat sipping tea. "That therapist," she said casually, "Noah. Is he married?" The woman chuckled. "Nope. Never been. Rumor is he's never even been with anyone." Madison paused. "Seriously. Seriously. People have offered. He always says no. Not interested." Madison didn't know what to make of that. Men didn't say no to her. Especially not men who made minimum wage and touched bodies for a living. That night, she couldn't sleep. She replayed every second of the massage. Not just the way he touched her, but the way he didn't. The quiet. The discipline. The unspoken refusal to be drawn in. The next morning, she returned. The spa wasn't even open yet. "I want the same therapist," she told the woman at the front desk. "No substitutes." When Noah entered the room, he looked almost bored. "Back again. Call it curiosity." "Curiosity is dangerous," he replied. "I'm not easily endangered." He started the session without further comment. The air between them was heavier this time. Not flirtatious. Just electric. After a few minutes, she broke the silence. "You know, I thought about you last night." No response. Most men would kill for that sentence. Still nothing. She opened her eyes. "You are not like other men." "Maybe that's because I'm not trying to be." She sat up on her elbows. "What if someone offered you something impossible to refuse?" "Like what?" "One night. One night only. Privacy guaranteed. And $1 million. Noah didn't move. Madison pulled an envelope from her handbag and placed it next to his hand. "You don't have to answer now. Just think about it." He looked at the envelope. Then at her. And slowly, almost regretfully, he slid the envelope back across the table. "No." She blinked. "Excuse me." "No," he said, calmly. "I don't sell myself. Not even for $1 million." She stood abruptly, heat rising to her cheeks. "You think you are better than me? I think I know what I won't wake up regretting." For the first time in her adult life, Madison Cole was left speechless. That night, a video went viral. A grainy clip captured by a client in the spa lobby, a furious Madison storming out, shouting something about money and mistakes. The caption, * when a billionaire gets rejected by a massage therapist. *. By morning, the clip had over 1 million views. And Noah Reid had become the most mysterious man on the internet. What would you do if the one person who saw through you also walked away from everything you offered? Can love begin with a no, or does it only grow after we let go of power? The next morning, Madison wasn't planning her next acquisition. She was planning her next move to uncover the truth about the man who dared to say no. Madison didn't return to Haven Wellness Spa the next day. She wanted to. God, how she wanted to. Her driver was halfway to the old district before she told him to turn around. "Not today," she muttered, watching her own reflection blur in the tinted window. The video had exploded, clips reposted, memes made, comment sections filled with strangers dissecting her humiliation like it was entertainment. Billionaire CEO rejected by local massage guy. They didn't even use his name. But it wasn't the public shaming that kept her awake at night. It was the look in his eyes. Calm. Honest. Unapologetically human. Noah had seen through her. Not through her facade, not just the designer armor or the cold logic of a corporate shark, but through her. And for a woman who'd spent most of her life crafting herself into something untouchable, that was terrifying. She couldn't stop asking herself, why had it mattered so much? By the third sleepless night, she gave in. Not to curiosity. To a need she couldn't explain. When she arrived at the spa, it was already crowded. Half the clients probably didn't care about massage therapy, they were there to catch a glimpse of the man who said no. Cameras lingered on the sidewalk, a couple of vloggers filming segments about the guy with principles. Inside, she waited by the front desk like a schoolgirl outside the principal's office. "He's with a client," the receptionist said gently. "I'll wait." "You are not on the schedule." Madison pulled a $100 bill from her bag and slid it across the counter. "Then put me on it." The receptionist hesitated, then nodded. 1 hour. When Noah entered the room, he didn't look surprised. He didn't look angry, either. Just tired. "I guess you're here to reclaim your dignity," he said quietly. "No," Madison replied. "I'm here because I can't stop thinking about why it mattered." He folded his arms. And she let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "I'm not used to people saying no to me. I noticed. You made me feel real. For the first time in a long time." Noah didn't answer right away. He moved to the side of the room, leaned against the wall, and looked at her, not the version of her that made headlines, but her. "Do you want the truth?" he asked. "I came for nothing else." He pulled something from his pocket. A photograph, creased at the edges. He placed it on the table between them. It showed him in a tailored suit, standing beside a man with graying hair in front of a building carved with the words Chang Global Group. Madison stared. "My real name is Noah Chang," he said softly. "My father is James Chang, CEO of one of the largest multinational firms in East Asia." She blinked. "I walked away 3 years ago. After my brother. Daniel. What happened to him?" "He died. The official story is suicide. The truth is more complicated." He paused, his jaw tightening. "He was being forced into a merger that would have made us billions, but only by exploiting workers and lying to regulators. I found out, confronted him. We fought. I threatened to expose everything. He drove off, drunk and angry, and never came back." A long silence filled the room. Only the distant hum of the street below made it feel like the world hadn't stopped turning. "I left the company. My father disowned me. Said I was weak. A disgrace. So I disappeared. Took the money I had in cash, changed my name legally, and started over. Here," Madison said quietly. "Here," he nodded. "Where no one cared about my pedigree. Where I learned to heal people. With my hands. Not with money. Not with manipulation." She reached for the photograph, but stopped midway. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because you're the first person I've met since I left who didn't need something from me but still wanted something. And I don't know if that scares me or gives me hope." Madison looked at him, really looked at him. This wasn't just a man who had walked away from billions. This was someone who had chosen pain over privilege, silence over spectacle. "I never meant to humiliate you," she whispered. "You didn't," he replied. "You just reminded me what I left behind. And what I might lose again." "What do you mean?" He hesitated. Then stepped closer. "My father knows I'm alive now. Someone sent him the video. Someone who recognized me." Madison's blood went cold. "Who?" "I don't know. But he's already moving. Yesterday, the spa's owner got an offer twice the value of the building, no explanation. And today, one of my bank accounts was flagged. They're closing in." Madison straightened. You can't go back to hiding. I might not have a choice. You do. You always do. No, he said, softer now. Not if people I care about become targets. For the first time, she saw fear in him. Not the fear of losing everything but of hurting someone else. Madison reached out, her fingers brushing his. Then don't protect me by disappearing. Let me stand with you. Noah looked down at her hand, then up at her face. I don't know how to be part of that world anymore, he said. Then maybe it's time we build a new one. What would you risk for someone who finally made you feel seen? If walking away was once an act of courage, could staying become one too? Outside, the city kept moving. But inside that quiet room, something else had begun to stir, a reckoning that neither of them could avoid. And the next move would change everything. Madison stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of her penthouse, the city below a blur of lights and sirens, anonymous and indifferent. She hadn't spoken to Noah in 2 days, not since he told her his father knew everything. That he'd been found. That the quiet life he'd built in hiding was unraveling. She should have seen it coming. The moment she walked into Haven Wellness Spa and offered him money, she had scratched the surface of a man who'd spent years burying his past under silence. Now the whole world was digging into him, and it was her fault. Her phone buzzed. Noah ***, meet me at the Botanical Gardens. After hours. Come alone ***. No pleasantries. No time. Just an address and a request that didn't feel like a suggestion. She left without telling anyone. The gardens were locked at night, but someone had left the side gate unlatched. She stepped inside, the gravel crunching under her heels, until she reached the glass conservatory at the center. Warm air enveloped her, thick with the scent of jasmine and rain-damp soil. Noah was waiting near the koi pond, hands in his coat pockets, his back turned to her. You came, he said without looking. Of course I did. He turned to face her, his expression unreadable. My father called me this morning. First time in 3 years. Madison nodded slowly. What did he say? He offered me everything back. My name. My position. My inheritance. Said he was proud of how I handled the fallout from the video. And I told him no. A breath she hadn't realized she was holding escaped her. But he wasn't surprised, Noah added. He said he'd expected that. And then, he said something else. He paused, jaw tight. He said if I didn't return willingly, he'd make sure you regretted ever meeting me. Silence stretched between them. Madison, he said, stepping closer. I need you to walk away. Tonight. She shook her head. No. Yes. Noah, I am not letting that man win. This isn't about winning. This is about survival. He's not going to hurt me. He's going to hurt you. Your company. Your name. I don't care. But I do, he snapped. And for the first time, she saw it, the desperation, the raw fear. Don't you understand? You're the only real thing I have left. And if something happens to you because of me, I won't survive it. She stared at him, her voice breaking. So your solution is to leave me before he can take me. It's the only way I know how to protect you. Madison stepped forward, closing the distance between them. You once told me that you walked away because you didn't want to wake up one day ashamed of who you'd become. Well, what if walking away now is the thing you'll regret for the rest of your life? Noah didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it without ceremony. The ring inside was antique, delicate, gold, the center stone modest, surrounded by tiny pearls. My mother's, he said quietly. She gave it to me a week before she died. Said to give it to the woman who made me feel like I was home. Madison's breath caught. Noah looked at her with more vulnerability than she had ever seen in him. But I'm not asking you to marry me, he said. Not now. Maybe not ever. I just want you to know what you are to me. What you already are. Tears blurred her vision. She closed the box gently and held it to her chest. Noah. I don't need the ring. I just need you. And then, quietly, he said the one thing she didn't want to hear. I'm leaving tomorrow. What? I'm disappearing again. A new name. A new place. This time, far enough that no one can find me. Not even you. Her knees nearly gave out. Don't do this, she whispered. Don't leave me behind. He stepped forward, wrapped his arms around her, and held her like he was memorizing the shape of her. If I stay, he wins. If I take you down with me, he wins. She shook her head against his chest. So you're punishing both of us to protect me. I'm giving us a chance. A real one. Someday. When it's safe. But what if that day never comes? He pulled away just enough to meet her eyes. Then I'll spend the rest of my life believing you're out there. Living. Thriving. Not afraid. She touched his face, memorizing every line. When you disappeared before, she said, you were running from guilt. What are you running from now? He kissed her forehead, a tremor in his lips. Love. Because it terrifies me more than anything else ever has. He stepped back. And this time, she let him. The next morning, Haven Wellness Spa was closed. His apartment, empty. The ring was still in her coat pocket. For weeks, Madison refused to talk about him. To the press. To her board. To herself. She threw herself into rebuilding her company, launching a wellness initiative inspired by his work. A foundation for mental health support and rehabilitation. She called it the Reed Project. No one knew what the name meant. She didn't explain it. Months passed. And then, one spring morning, a package arrived at her office with no return address. Inside was a photograph. A cherry tree, newly planted, its blossom soft and pale. And a handwritten note. Asterisk somewhere, the roots are learning to stay. And maybe someday, they'll grow toward you again asterisk. No signature. No contact. But Madison smiled. Because sometimes, love doesn't ask to be held. It asks to be believed in even from a distance. And she would. Every day. Until the wind carried him back. What did this story stir in your heart? Did the ending feel right to you or leave you wanting more? If you loved this story, comment 100 below to let us know. Tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to know which corner of the world you're in. And if you think someone you care about would connect with this story, share it with them. Thank you for watching Life Stories.